And we're going to install Ubuntu Linux on our 2013 27-inch iMac to prepare our environment. But the first thing you need to make sure is if you have the wireless Bluetooth Magic Keyboard and Mouse from Apple, you might want to make sure you have handy a wired USB keyboard and mouse, preferably Macintosh compatible, or any number of these wireless dongle-based keyboards with a trackpad. You can see I have two different types, a separate mouse, and you might also want to have a USB dongle just in case you run out of ports. I also have an external USB 3 SSD, Bluetooth dongles, and Wi-Fi dongles. Those are going to be the most important because you might lose wireless compatibility with the Ubuntu drivers. So let's get started. We are not going to use Boot Camp because we're not going to load Windows. We're going to use Ubuntu Linux. So we're going to go straight to partitioning our hard drive. If you have upgraded from a previous version of macOS, you may or may not have an APFS hard drive partition. If you do, take precautions and follow along very carefully. So looking in the disk utility, I can see I already have the view set to view all devices. By default, you might have only show the volumes. Let's make sure we have show all devices set. We're gonna use the disk utility to take some of the um, Mac drives space and use it for the Linux install by selecting the physical drive itself and partitioning it. Now, if you have upgraded your hard drive to the APFS type of drive, you don't want to add a volume. You want to partition at the root of the drive, not inside the container. So let's say we click partition and add another partition. Here is our Mac drive. It's splitting it directly in half to easier identify which drive is which. We're going to make them different sizes. So let's make our Mac drive a little smaller. In our case, about 400 gigabytes. And the Linux drive is going to be 600 and something gigabytes. So let's click it to select it. I'm just going to call it Ubuntu. Make sure that it is formatted by something else. I'm just going to say exFAT and apply. But the reason we want to do this is to differentiate it as much as possible because we don't want to make a mistake and accidentally format the Mac drive. Just let that run. This is an SSD, so it should not be too long, but it does have to move around some of my Mac files. Click done. Don't be fooled by this. You don't have two 600 gigabyte Ubuntu drives. The APFS system is keeping track of this. It's almost like it's making a ghost image inside its container, but this really is outside the container. So we're done here. Now we need to find the Linux Ubuntu install. Let's go ahead and open Safari and go to the ubuntu.com and download the latest Ubuntu desktop. As of this video, it's 2404.2. I don't think we need to choose this. We'll just download. And while we're waiting for that download, we'll go to the what's that company? Balena. It's Balena Etcher. We'll download Etcher so we can easily make a USB drive from the Linux download. Although you could use the built-in dd command in the OS X, this older version I think has a smaller buffer size and it just takes a really long time with no status. You'll find that Etcher just is a lot easier to use. And once we have the Etcher installed, we can just go ahead and run it. And I think at this point we're still waiting for the download of the ISO from Linux or for the Ubuntu Linux. Yeah, so let's skip ahead. All right, it's downloaded. So we're just gonna use Etcher to flash from that ISO file to our USB drive we just put in there. Type your password to allow this to happen and just wait for the flashing. All right, we've skipped ahead. It's complete. So now all we have to do is reboot into that USB drive. And we're going to reboot into the Linux installer. We're going to first put our Wi-Fi dongle in. We're going to put a separate keyboard with a trackpad because our keyboard for our Mac is going to disconnect. But we're going to keep it around handy for the Option and Command keys. Let's actually go ahead and show you one last time what we're plugging in. First, the dongle for the keyboard and trackpad, the Linux boot installer, and the Wi-Fi adapter. And in the very clear iMac screen, you can see my messy background as we hold the Option key and boot to the USB. It's called EFI boot. That's just what it's called. We're going to try or install Ubuntu. It's going to boot up to Ubuntu, give us the option to install it. So just quickly going through the formalities of the install, choosing your keyboard and other settings. We're going to not connect to the internet. Even though we have a Wi-Fi adapter, we want it to detect the adapter but not connect because it'll take much longer to install. Gonna set the default essential applications. Make sure you set this to install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi. It's going to be important later, even though it can't get to the internet. Now, right now, this is the important part. We want to choose the manual installation. We want to specifically set where the Linux is going to install, otherwise it might overwrite your Macintosh hard drive install. So let's go ahead and go into the partitioning. The SDA is the physical hard drive, and you can see it has a 399 Macintosh partition, APFS, and a 600 something uh, drive that it already says Ubuntu because I already ran through this one time, but we're going to choose that one. That's the one we had set aside when we repartitioned a drive in the Mac OS. We're going to change this to make sure it's set to ext4, and the mount point is just a simple /. If you know more about the Linux and Unix installations and drive partitioning, you can partition it however you want, but for now, to be safe, we're just going to use this as our root drive. And click OK. If you are booting to an external drive or another physical drive, you might want the bootloader to be on that drive. See right down here. But since we have just one drive, we're going to install the Linux bootloader, which in this case I think is grub, onto the same drive. And just finishing up the installation, setting our time zone, looking at our settings, we're just going to click install. While it's installing, if you want to see what it's doing, you can go ahead and click that little command line icon on the bottom left, bottom right side, and it'll show you what's happening. It's going to take a while, so we're just going to stop the video and come back when it's finished. And it's done. I forgot to video this part, but it's going to ask us to remove the USB drive and restart. And we're also restarting. If it doesn't automatically go into Ubuntu, you have to hit that Option key again and choose the local hard drive that's called EFI. And logging in, we should have our newly installed Ubuntu Linux. Notice I have to use the non-Macintosh keyboard now. Ubuntu will ask you a few things after you log in for the first time. We're just going to set the defaults, making sure we don't upgrade anything to a pay service. Now here's where we set up our Wi-Fi. We're going to use our Wi-Fi dongle to connect to our Wi-Fi because now we can get some application and driver updates that we weren't able to get before or would have made our install take a really long time. So if you notice the Broadcom BCM 4360 is not in use. For some reason, the drivers that come with Ubuntu on the disks don't seem to work, and in some cases I've even seen it forbidden in some of the config files. Now that we are connected to the internet with our Wi-Fi dongle, we can do an apt update to update our software repositories in case anything has changed since the time the install was created. This might take a while because our Wi-Fi is actually kind of slow. But after that update, we should be able to download and install the Broadcom drivers for Ubuntu, and the built-in Wi-Fi hardware should start working. Let's skip ahead. Before we try to install any drivers, let's do a list of our PCI devices and search for BCM, which should be part of the name of the manufacturer of the Wi-Fi adapter. And we can see the BCM 4360 dual band wireless network adapter. So it's present. So we should be able to just do an apt install of the BCM WL kernel source, which will download all the bits necessary to compile the kernel drivers for our iMac Wi-Fi adapter. And this is a lot simpler than trying to go to the website and figure out which adapter you have and download this driver, that driver, and try to reboot. It'll simply just build everything for us. Let's skip ahead. Now you can see it is finishing downloading and is building our kernel drivers for our Broadcom Wi-Fi modules. And the reason I included this in this video is because I've seen a lot of people online that are either on the 22.0x or have upgraded to 24 of Ubuntu, and for some reason their wireless drivers disappear, or they install it for the first time and it doesn't work. So it's just handy to keep a USB dongle, then get the drivers after. Logging back in, let's just go back to the drivers and see what is installed. Look at the additional drivers, and earlier it said that it was not in use, and now it's automatically changed to be in use. So we didn't have to set that, it set it itself. And now that it's there, we should be able to remove the Wi-Fi dongle. So you can't see it, but we're removing it. And there it is. I took it out. And we should be able to connect to the same Wi-Fi network using the built-in Broadcom hardware. I don't see any place to select it. Let's just disconnect and reconnect. Okay, just reconnecting right now. Oh, thinking about it, I should have just forgotten the network and just reapplied it because now I have a second one of the same name. But that's okay, we'll just use it for now. So we're connected with the Broadcom hardware. Let's do a quick double check to make sure we're still connected to the internet by pinging Google, and it looks good. That being done, since we're on a slightly faster Wi-Fi hardware than that dongle, let's just go ahead and do a sudo apt upgrade and let the system upgrade. It's going to take a while, so we'll just stop the video and come back when it's done. And the upgrade is just about done. I think it's done. There we go. So we're just going to need to reboot and do a quick check on our system, make sure everything's still working. We're expecting Wi-Fi to work. At some point, I'm going to put back a wired Mac keyboard. The wireless one is just too hard to try to manage. Before we turn back on, let's plug in our external Thunderbolt 3 eGPU with the Thunderbolt 3 to Thunderbolt 2 adapter and a Thunderbolt 2 cable. Okay, we're rebooted. We are still using the Broadcom Wi-Fi, and it still works, so that's good. The upgrade didn't change anything. Let's take a look and see what hardware we have. We're looking for Thunderbolt. So we have Cactus Rich Thunderbolt. That's Thunderbolt 1, I believe. And the reason we're looking at it is because the whole point of this is so that we can add eGPUs, external Thunderbolt GPUs. Even though the external Thunderbolt GPUs will be Thunderbolt 3, they still will work. Now we're looking for an Nvidia card that's not being found right now. We're looking for a 2070. So I think there's one more thing we might need to do. Where is it at? It is in our settings. There's a Thunderbolt section. We have a connected pending device. We need to authorize it. So let's authorize and connect it. Type in our root password. And it is authorized. Let us see if we need to reboot. Well, actually, before we do anything, I'm not sure you 100% need to do this, but I'm going to update the PCI IDs to make sure everything is detected properly. After we did the apt update, I did do this. Okay. So that's done. and let us reboot. And we have rebooted and logged in. Let's take a quick look to see if our Nvidia card is there. And we now see a 2070 that's connected via the Thunderbolt 1 port to the external GPU. In the additional driver section, we should also see Nvidia drivers now, and it's automatically selected one, but that's not going to work for us. We need to find one of the proprietary, the non-open source drivers. We're going to use the 535, although the 570 also should work with some of these. And this video is going on a little long, going over 16 minutes, so I'm going to continue in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe.